This week in a CNN exclusive series, The War Before the War, our TJ Holmes is giving us extraordinary access to the training ground where U.S. troops go through excruciating conditions and violent simulations getting ready for the harsh reality of combat. Tonight, he takes us to a part of America that now resembles the battlefields of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Daytime heat, frigid nights, and wicked sandstorms. California's Mojave Desert can be a miserable place. Perfect.
The real golden nugget about training in the Mojave Desert is this is an incredibly hostile, tough environment just to live, let alone operate. You have to be aware of your surroundings. You have to deal with high winds, 30 to 40 degree temperature changes on a daily basis, microburst storms that come up during periods of the year. You've got a fair amount of hostile wildlife.
General Abe Abrams commands the National Training Center at Fort Irwin. Here, the Mojave serves as an ideal spot to train for war in Iraq or Afghanistan.
We devote about 20 days of the most realistic, tough, challenging training that replicates as close as we possibly can the exact conditions they're going to see in either theater, so that when they deploy, they're ready.
Soldiers who served in the current wars swear by the realism.
I love this place. It's awesome. It's the world's greatest training environment.
Sergeant First Class Ralph Waltwood has been a trainer or trainee here more than 24 times.
A soldier can't get no more closer to combat than right here. I mean, this is where he's going to make his mistakes and learn from his mistakes. It's better to make them here than across over there.
Where there was once only sand, the Army built more than a dozen towns and villages and another dozen forward operating bases. The intent is to bombard the trainees with the look, the sound, and the feel of Iraq.
The first time I walked down one of the streets of these cities when we were out here doing a leader's recon, the hair stood up on the back of my neck because it reminded me so much of Iraq, and it was so real.
The Army even brings a bit of Iraq to Fort Irwin. Mustafa Mosa commanded a division in Saddam Hussein's army when the U.S. invaded in 2003. Today, he's back in an Iraqi Army uniform, but he works for the U.S. military as one of the hundreds of role players who bring authenticity to the training.
I never believed that is one day I support, and I came to United States to support the mission for U.S. Army going to deploy in Iraq.
When U.S. soldiers fight mock battles here, they do so alongside pretend Iraqi troops. This support aspect of the training mirrors the real U.S. mission in Iraq.
Previous, the U.S. forces, we did unilateral operations. We did unilateral planning. We did unilateral execution. Now, as a function of the security agreement in Iraq specifically, every operation is now combined.
Combat training will always be a major component at the NTC. But along with the exercises, you now see missions like this, a joint security meeting of U.S. commanders and Iraqi army and police, just like you would see in Iraq.
We will crush the insurgents.
These meetings are about teaching U.S. commanders the best way to carry out their newly defined support mission in Iraq.
The environment is evolving in Iraq. There was a big change in 2003, and we changed to a counterinsurgency environment to replicate that environment. We are at a change point in Iraq, where we've got these brigade combat teams that are enabled to be combat advisors, assisters of their Iraqi counterparts.
The side-by-side training with Iraqi leaders can be as hard for senior officers as firefights and IED attacks are for new privates.
It's a challenge just because we hadn't done it before, so we're kind of feeling it out right now to see what works. So that's some of the ways that me personally and my unit have been pushed the hardest.
These new soldiers recognize this training is important. What were you expecting when you came out here?
To some extent, I think it may be a starting point, but altogether, we'll never know until we get down there, basically, where we're newcomers into it. But this is a good heads up on what to look forward to.
Do you think, or will you go, with a better sense or a higher degree of confidence?
A lot of us are already pretty confident in our jobs, but this kind of is the last chance to make mistakes before you get over there, so you get them out of the way.
The 1st Brigade of the 3rd ID spent nearly a month at Fort Irwin. They start putting all that training to the test when they deploy to Iraq just before Christmas. TJ Holmes, CNN, at the National Training Center, Fort Irwin, California.